don't know if I've seen cornbread this thick, but I am pleasantly, I can't say I'm surprised, I'm not surprised, but I'm totally okay with how thick this is. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're making a recipe from one of my favorite chefs, Garten. If you've never watched any of her cooking shows and you like cooking shows, go check them out. So relaxing and delicious recipes. Today I am going to be making with you guys cheesy jalapeno cornbread. And if you watched my last video, which was the vegetarian chili mac, this would be perfect to go alongside the chili mac. So I will leave a link to the chili mac down below in the description if you guys are interested. So to start, we're going to mix together our dry ingredients. For that, we want 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1, 2, and 3. Next, we have 1 cup of yellow cornmeal, there we go, a 1/4 cup of sugar. And this is technically white sugar. I just have raw cane sugar, so it's brown. 1/4 cup of white sugar, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and we will give that all a stir. Now we're gonna get a separate bowl and we are going to crack into it 3 extra large eggs. I just have large eggs and I'm just gonna go with it. Before we add anything else, I'm gonna break the yolks and beat them lightly. All right, next we're gonna add 2 cups of milk, and 2 sticks or a 1/2 pound of melted butter. You can do this in the microwave in a microwave safe bowl, or you can melt the butter in a frying pan. Now you don't want your butter to be boiling because you don't want it to cook the eggs that we have in there. So if it does get hot, let it cool off for a little bit first and then add it in. Those are the 3 wet ingredients. Get those mixed in. And then we're going to bring back our bowl of dry ingredients and we're gonna pour our wet ingredients right into that bowl. All right, let's fold all of our ingredients together. We don't want to overmix. We just want to get all of our dry ingredients moist and incorporated, because if we over stir, we're gonna have tough cornbread and we don't want tough cornbread. Make sure you scrape down to the bottom to get all of your dry ingredients off of the bottom and scrape your sides. All right, so I'm ready to stop stirring. Now we're going to add in, for this recipe, we are going to use 8 ounces of cheddar grated. So 8 ounces is the standard weight of one of the smaller rectangular blocks that you'll find in the cheese section at your store. So we're gonna grate the whole block and we're going to put majority of it into our batter, but the rest of it we're going to reserve to sprinkle some on top before we put our cornbread in the oven. So about 2 cups worth of our cheese. You don't have to measure precisely, but I am. into our batter. And then we have a healthy amount left over for sprinkling on top. So just set that aside. And then we're going to take 3 scallions, also known as green onions, also known as spring onions. Clean them up, or just chop off the dirty part and chop those up. So I'm just going to dice them into maybe 1/8 inch slices. So Ina's recipe says we want about 1/3 cup of scallions. Whoa, they're running away. You can use more or less, and whatever is left over, or if there's none left over, you can use more. We're going to sprinkle the top of our cornbread before we put it in the onion, similarly to how we had left over cheese. And so no worries if you have more than 1/3 cup. I love green onion because it gives you that oniony flavor, but it's nice and subtle and delicious. So in we go and set that aside. And then we have our jalapeno. Now, some people get a little worried about jalapenos, and you actually have more control with the heat than you might think. So the heat from a jalapeno really comes from its seeds inside. So if you want really spicy cornbread, you don't have to take any of the inside of your jalapeno out. You can just dice it as is. But I like heat, but I like when it has good flavor too. So I'm gonna take out all of my seeds and all of the white interior, or as much as I can get. Now, if you have gloves in your kitchen, those might be okay to wear while you're cutting up your jalapeno. But just be careful, especially if you wear contacts or if you tend to touch your eyes. Make sure you wash your hands really well before you do so after dealing with a jalapeno or any other spicy pepper. All right, so dice up your jalapeno as much or as little as you want, meaning as big of pieces or as small of pieces as you want. I'm gonna cut mine up nice and small. And if you really don't care for jalapeno, you could always leave it out, or you could just use half of a jalapeno, or when we pour our batter into our baking pan, you could sprinkle the jalapeno on top of half of the batter before you sprinkle on your leftover spring onion and cheese, and so that it's only in half of your cornbread. But I'll leave it up to you. Okie dokie, now that we have our cheese and our green onion and our jalapeno all chopped up, let's fold that into our cornbread batter. Again, we just want to incorporate everything evenly. We don't want to overmix our batter, so just make sure everything gets evenly incorporated. It smells good already. The cheese and the onions and the pepper. Good stuff. Okay, this is where I'm at. This is what mine looks like. Now we're going to let this sit for about 20 minutes. And I believe this has to do with the fact that we used cornmeal, and so it needs some time to absorb some of the moisture from our batter so that it's not super gritty when we're eating our cornbread. And also it lets us bring all of our ingredients to room temperature. So like our eggs and our milk. My eggs and milk were not at room temperature, and it's good etiquette for baking to have all of your ingredients at room temperature, but that's just not usually how I roll. So letting it warm up to room temperature just helps your baked goods cook more evenly. So during this time, let's preheat our oven to 350 degrees. And we will grease or line our 9 by 13 baking pan. we've waited our time. Let's get it into our pan. As you can see, it's very thick, so we're gonna smooth it out into our pan. All right, so once you get it smoothed out, let's go back to our cheese and our green onion. I think I can say there was no skimping on the cheese in this recipe. It's not even cooking yet, and it is just so fragrant between these onions and the jalapeno. It's part of what I like about cooking. Of course, I love the taste of good food, but the smell of it. It's like when you walk in the door when someone's cooking, it just hits you. That is wonderful. All right, here we go. Into our oven for 30 to 35 minutes. Wow, look at that. What a beast. It's been 30 minutes. You can take a toothpick or a cake tester, or I have a butter knife. Just stab it straight down. Come back up. So I still have batter on my knife, so we're gonna pop these back in for 5 minutes. All right, let's see how those 5 minutes treated us. It got our cheese a little golden on top. So this is what my knife looks like given our test, and there's a little bit of something on there, but we have to remember that we have melted cheese on top, so some of that very well could have gotten stuck on our knife. Since the interior of our cornbread is still hot, and now we are going to let this cool for a little while, I'm not going to put it back in. I don't want to dry out our cornbread. All right, my friends, let's give this a try. I don't know if I've seen cornbread this thick, but I am pleasantly, I can't say I'm surprised, I'm not surprised, but I'm totally okay with how thick this is. What corner shall we take? I like corner pieces. I'm cool with corner pieces. Wow. Look at this. Got some melted cheese right on there. Oh, you got some green onion or jalapeno in there. All right, let's give it a try. It is really moist, and it's not as overpowering as I expected it to be. Now, it may just be because I have not bitten into a piece of jalapeno yet, but it's delicious nonetheless. This is the best cornbread I've had so far in my life, but I expect nothing less from Ina. Perfect. And like I said, it would go great with some chili or that chili mac by itself. As you can clearly see, I'm enjoying it. This is another win. Let's go. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave you here. If you try out the cornbread, let me know how it goes. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, hit that subscribe button and that bell so you know when I drop the next video, and go get yourself some cornbread. Cheers!